Hello students, as you all know, situation right now is not quite favorable for our traditional classroom environment, so we have to shift our academic activities online. We are about to start a new semester, summer 2020, and today I will introduce you to a new course this semester, which is EEE or ECE 341, named as Introduction to Communication Engineering. I am your course instructor for this course. I will conduct the whole course alone. I will teach you, guide you, and motivate you to experience this unique field of electrical engineering. My name is Mohammad Mesal Monem, and you can reach me at my email address, which is given in the slide. Now let's start our discussion with the list of contents. The contents we are going to cover in this course throughout the semester. To start off, we have basics of communication system, and then some brief discussion on basics of information theory and noise in communication system. After that, we will move to the major portion of our course, which includes analog modulation, pulse code modulation, digital modulation, and then if we are left with enough time, we will talk a bit about multiplexing and multiple access techniques too. To start off, our first topic of this course is Introduction to Communication Systems, which includes the basic components of communication systems. Then a brief discussion on information theory, which is actually necessary for the later part of this course. We will not go into the details, only brief discussion. Then we will talk a little bit about challenges in the communication systems, bandwidth and resources, and also channel characteristics. Moving on. Then we will talk about noise in communication systems. Mostly we will do some mathematical calculations regarding noise with noise figure, noise temperature, etc. And finally we will talk about what kind of noise do we encounter in communication system and how we can overcome them. So the major portion of our course starts with analog communications, which includes deep and detailed discussion on amplitude modulation AM and angle modulation, which is further divided into two subtopics: frequency modulation FM and phase modulation PM. In this topic, we will cover all the aspects of these analog modulation techniques, modulator, demodulator, and how can we transmit signals from one end to another end in a large distance, pros and cons of each of the modulation methods. We will talk in great detail about them. Then we will spend a good amount of time with amplitude modulation. There are several types of amplitude modulation. For example, double sideband modulation, single sideband modulation, and quadrature amplitude modulation. We will talk about them, especially focusing on double sideband and single sideband modulation. Then comes another large portion of this course, which is pulse modulation. There are several types of pulse modulations, but we will try to focus mainly on pulse code modulation PCM and delta modulation DM. Finally, the last major portion of this course, digital modulation, which includes amplitude shift keying, phase shift keying, frequency shift keying, and other shift keying methods, which we are going to discuss in substantial details. Then, if we have enough time at the end, if we can manage time, we will talk a little bit about different multiplexing techniques and multiple access techniques too. Let's look at the timeline. To start off, we will discuss about the basics of communication system and information theory for about a week. Then we will spend another 1 week on noise in communication systems, and then we will talk in details about amplitude modulation techniques. It will take 2 weeks, and then another 2 weeks on angle modulation, which will contain FM and PM. Then from week 6 to week 8 in between, we will talk about PCM, delta modulation, line coding, etc. And then finally, in between week 8 to week 10, we will talk about the first part of digital modulation, which includes ASK, FSK, PSK, and then lastly, we will talk about DPSK and QPSK between week 10 and week 11. And if we get enough time at the end, we will talk a little bit about multiplexing and multiple access too. Now let's give a brief description of this course, what we are going to learn. We are basically going to learn how we can transmit a signal, be it analog signal or be it digital signal, from one end to another end over a large distance. Let's say you are making a phone call from your home to your friend's home. How can your voice, how can your text message go across this large distance through either wired or wireless channel? That is our main focus of this course. We will talk about the modulation techniques, the modulators, demodulators, and the concepts. Now, one of the good things about this course is we do not have any detailed mathematical problems, mathematical calculations, and frightening mathematical derivations in this course, which is a bit of relief for the students. But this course is heavily conceptual. You have to develop concepts, strong concepts, I would rather say, on each topic. If you fail to develop concepts, then it will be a huge problem for you in the exams and all. According to the university guidelines, we will have frequent quizzes, tutorial problems, tutorial classes, and if you follow them, I believe it will be very helpful for you. Now, to end this discussion, some of the topics, some of the names might seem a bit confusing for you, or I would say you can feel a bit anxious about the course, how hard the topics will be, what will be the outcome. But as per my previous experience of taking this course, students actually feel pretty comfortable as soon as they start off reading and learning. So don't be afraid. I want to assure you, behind the cloud, the sun still shines. So thank you for listening to this presentation. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you in the class. Thank you.